Good day, everyone. Today we are going to talk about a topic that I haven't seen anybody else talk about, so let's go forward with it. Also, we're talking about this topic because this is the topic that you all voted for in the poll to talk about, and that really surprised me, but I guess it's information that, once again, most people weren't aware of. But there's something a little bit weird going on with Marvel and Disney about the character of Black Panther, and we might have a little bit of an information as to why. It might be that Disney and Marvel just straight up is not allowing the character of Black Panther, aka T'Challa, the regular version of Black Panther, to even appear anymore. And so let me explain how this sort of information came about. This all started with the season finale of X-Men 97, and in their season finale, they had a lot of cameos from famous Marvel characters, at least characters that would be more famous now, because a lot of these characters, like Iron Man and Captain America, they were not very popular when X-Men 92 was coming out, but they did get their own cameos in the original X-Men 92, and some of them got their own series. Iron Man had his own cartoon series in the 90s, even though it wasn't very popular. But anyway, they did all these cameos for these characters, and you can tell that it was not only just a callback to those original cartoons, but definitely a way for Marvel to push out these characters that have become far more famous than the X-Men from by the 2010s. And we saw Iron Man, we saw Captain America, we saw Doctor Strange, we saw Spider-Man, who's always been famous, and then we saw Black Panther. Only it wasn't Black Panther, it was King T'Chaka, and they made a very specific point of that it was King T'Chaka, not T'Challa. And King T'Chaka being T'Challa's father. And people thought that was a little strange because it's like, you've got all these cameos from these characters that we know and that have been from the MCU, and Black Panther T'Challa appeared in the original 92 series. More than once he made cameos. So that made people question, well, why didn't they actually have T'Challa appear in this show if this was the point of all these cameos? So Bo DeMeo, who has been very, 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 very active on Twitter to talk about the show after he was fired for unknown reasons, he's been using Twitter a lot to keep himself engaged with the show, and he's been responding to a lot of people. So that means that it was likely that they could get an answer out of him for why this happened. So someone asked him straight up, does Disney have any sort of a ban on Black Panther T'Challa being used in media anymore? And I wouldn't have thought anything of this really, but then Bo DeMail responded that his NDA prevents him from saying anything. And mind you, this guy has been very, very open on Twitter about what's going on and things that went on behind the scenes and what they were and were not allowed to do, like mentioning that they weren't allowed to use Deadpool. But with this, he gave that response, and that made me think that's basically an answer, an answer without saying anything, basically almost confirming what this person was speculating, that Disney just straight up is not allowing the character of T'Challa to appear in their media anymore. And this didn't go viral or anything. I imagine if it did, then Bo DeMeo might get in a lot of trouble from Disney for even implying this. But it did make me question what would be the reasoning behind that, to not allow the character of Black Panther to appear in anything, even in a cartoon that has no connection to the MCU. And, well, mind you, this cartoon would have come out years ago. I mean, not come out, but I mean, it would have been worked on, written a long time ago. So it's possible that this isn't a recent thing. So, let's talk about the history for that. So, Chadwick Boseman, who played T'Challa in the movies, as everyone knows, died very, very suddenly, at least suddenly to the mainstream audience, because he had been battling cancer and no one in the mainstream knew about this. They were able to keep it very private from the press and all of that. And so it was very, very sudden. And instantly with that death, there was very much a knee jerk reaction online. And I even participated in this, a knee jerk reaction of, don't you dare recast this character, because that would be dishonoring Chadwick's legacy to just, treat him as an actor who can just be replaced just like that. And so Disney came up with other ideas of how to carry on with the Black Panther franchise. They started shifting around other characters to take on the mantle until they landed on Letitia Wright's Shuri to take it over. And then Wakanda Forever came out, and it was a very bleak movie compared to the first Black Panther, that was very much an escapist movie that had ended on a very positive note. Wakanda Forever was a very bleak movie where they added even more deaths to the roster character, and it was just a very depressing movie all around, and you could really tell that the grief behind the scenes of Chadwick Boseman's sudden passing was really translated there, and that the crew and the cast were really feeling it. And so Wakanda Forever made decent money at the box office, but it was kind of a part of that slew of Marvel movies in 2022 that turned people off from Marvel, from Love and Thunder to Doctor Strange 2, where the universe just was not a universe anymore, where things didn't seem like they were connecting. The stories were getting worse, more incohesive, less entertaining, and I think that Wakanda Forever was definitely a part of that because you need the ultimate thing is you need to have the Black Panther be in the Black Panther movies. You need to have T'Challa. It's like all of those Sony Spider-Man movies that try to attempt to carry on without Peter Parker Spider-Man. No, you need your main character. And once again, the Black Panther universe, at least as what was set up in their first billion-dollar movie, it really set up on a positive note where T'Challa was going to lead the Wakandans out of being isolationists. And then, this movie brought back a lot of that conflict. It did not have much hope for the future. It gave a little bit of reconciliation for the grief of the characters at the end, but it was definitely a bleak movie. And honestly, I think Letitia Wright tried to do the best she could, but I think that she really worked as Shuri as a jokey supporting character, and this character was not that at all in this movie. I don't think that she really worked as a superhero that people are going to pay to see future movies for. So the Black Panther franchise is kind of at a dead end because of that. I don't see how they can go forward with this version of the character with Shuri. There's no plans or any sort of reports anywhere about when the character is going to appear again. No reports on new movies coming out. It almost feels like that franchise is at a dead end. And I would attribute that to Disney not being willing to recast the character, to basically letting real life affect what was happening in the movies too much. And it's understandable why they didn't, because emotions were running high, and people were very upset about that death and didn't want to make it seem like that this was just another actor who could be replaced. But I think that it was a bad call, because Chadwick Boseman worked to build up this character who was not an A-lister whatsoever, worked to build him up into a billion-dollar franchise, got an excellent appearance in Civil War, and it's kind of like, but why wouldn't you want to continue on with that? Because aren't you tarnishing someone's legacy by destroying what they helped build up? And I understand what happened with Wakanda Forever, and maybe it was just the wrong call at the time to do that. But then we get to the idea that they're not even letting the character appear in anything anymore. And that is what doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't really understand the mindset behind that, because I understand how Disney got into the mindset of we can't recast this character right now because we don't want to get the bad PR that we're just an evil, cynical company that just sees actors as things to be replaced. But here's the reality: is acting is a job like anything else. And I know emotions were running high when he first passed away, and I know I first had a knee-jerk reaction of don't recast, like the first 5 minutes that it happened. But acting is a job like anything else, and the truth of the matter is people leave roles, they get sick and can't do roles, they pass away and have to be recast. I mean, imagine if after the tragic death of Heath Ledger, if they said no one can play the Joker again. Like, these actors are not their characters, but you can carry on their work by carrying on these characters. And that's the confusing thing: is Chadwick Boseman himself and his family said that they want the character of T'Challa and Black Panther to continue, and Chadwick Boseman's legacy is building that character up. But now I don't understand why Disney would be of the mindset to say that we can't have this character appear in anything anymore. It's like they think that they're honoring the legacy of that actor by letting the character die with him, and that just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, the more this goes on, you've already kind of painted the MCU in a corner with this, but you're not even allowing this character to go on in this other media, and that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I think that they would do better to recast the character. I think that the only way going forward is to create a universe setting event where Wakanda Forever essentially didn't happen and where you can have a new version of this character going forward. And because there's very rare performances out there that no one else could do, but I think that part of the problem was Disney painting themselves in the corner because they really, really deified Chadwick Boseman in their marketing campaign of Black Panther. They really wanted to build up this is the greatest, this is the most important movie. This is the most important performance of this movie. And I think it built themselves up to an unrealistic point, to the point where they didn't want to walk back on that and say, yes, this is a character, ultimately, just a character in a movie that other people can play. But by, trying to stick with that, I think that they're actually tarnishing Chadwick Boseman's legacy, and that they need to let this character appear again. They need to take what popularity the first Black Panther movie still built up, and they need to continue to build on that rather than just halt it outright. But that's just my opinion of it. What do you think of all this? Do you think that Disney should let the character of Black Panther go? Do you think that they should allow him to reappear in things again? Do you think that they should recast the character? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you, patrons, as always, for supporting this channel, and I will see you guys next time.